So the TikToks that I made just got me fired. They just fired my ass.
Let me tell you about the time I got fired from Allied Universal for posting videos on TikTok.
I've seen this pattern show up over and over again. People, they get fired, but it's not because they don't know the rules. It's because they decided, either consciously or unconsciously, that those same rules, they simply don't apply to them. And the stories, they may all look different, but at the end of the day, the outcome is exactly the same. So let's go through each of them one by one.
So, I got fired. Yeah, my big 6-figure remote tech job. Yeah, they canned me. And you guessed it, it was because of a TikTok.
Of course.
Yeah, last month I took a very quick video and I did not use my big giant brain to think about the fact that in the background of that video, you could hear my chief product officer talking.
Oh, that's not good.
Because I was in a meeting. I did not think anything of it until the next day when I got called into a meeting with HR and my chief product officer, and they said, hey, somebody sent us this video. And we are immediately dismissing you from the company for gross negligence.
It's actually relatively simple. A Zoom meeting is still work. And it doesn't matter if you think no one can see you or you believe that you are muted. If any company information is being shared, it is no longer a private space. And that right there is the key misunderstanding. Because not getting caught is definitely not the same thing as being allowed to do something with actual permission. Because the rule isn't don't get caught. The rule is simply just don't do it. And that is exactly why the outcome of her getting fired was so immediate.
Y'all know I'm always on here making like funny TikToks. When I be like on breakout work and stuff, I'll be making TikToks. So the TikToks that I made just got me fired.
Not a surprise.
They just fired my ass. So y'all be careful with posting TikToks, even if it's not your voice, even if you're not saying where you work at. You being in uniform and making certain TikToks with certain captions or anything can cause you to get fucking fired from your job at a clinic.
This is the situation where people confuse time with representation. Just because you're on a break, it doesn't render you invisible, especially when you're in uniform. Because that uniform you're wearing represents the employer, whether you are working on the clock or you are not working and you are elsewhere. And for another thing, breaks do provide you a chance to rest and recharge. They don't provide you immunity. And she didn't get fired because she was recording. She got fired because she was recording as the company, and that simply is not allowed.
Let me tell you about the time I got fired from Allied Universal for posting videos on TikTok. So the last place I worked for Allied was in Charlotte at a Wells Fargo call center building. And I already had a lot of troubles with my manager and everything. Mind y'all, I keep getting write-ups about my socks, write-ups.
Not good.
Yeah, so I go in the office, he handed me a piece of paper. Once I signed the paper, he looked at it, made sure it was my right signature. He said, yeah, you're terminated.
Oh.
I said, what? So me signing that paper was my termination? Are you serious? I said, for what? He said, oh, we've been getting calls that you've been posting on TikTok and posting on social media wearing the Allied uniform. I said, sir, I've been doing that for as long as I can remember. He said, yeah, well, that's not illegal. He said, that's against company policy and you gotta go. Y'all, every time a company fired me for no reason, I get so pissed. I got so mad. I started cussing that man out. And this is why I'm ineligible for rehire with Allied University.
This is another case where repetition gets mistaken for permission. Simply doing something over and over and over does not at all make it acceptable. It really just means that nobody has stopped you yet. And another thing, when someone like her mentions that they've had a history of problems at other jobs, more than likely the problem is her and not the other jobs. At some point, you have to come to terms with the common factor being you and your attitude. And this is not shocking to everyone else. It's really only shocking to the person who's doing that same behavior and getting the same bad outcomes. And this is where the ultimate justification can really kick in.
Who got fired for filming content at work, and I had a couple interviews this week, and I went live last night to talk about them, and I had somebody in my live to ask, did you let your new potential employer know that you were terminated from your last job?
For filming TikTok.
Now, I don't know if it's just me or if it's just a thing, but I don't voluntarily give out that information. However, I did put my last job down as a reference and for them to call my RN supervisor, because at the end of the day, I know what kind of nurse I was. I never violated HIPAA, and I don't feel like I ever did anything wrong. I know what value I add and bring to a building. I'm a very skilled nurse with a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience. And I know what I have to offer as a nurse. And I've had administrators and DONs to inbox me and say, hey, I would love to have you come work at my building, and I will allow you to film your TikToks and create content. Just remember the HIPAA.
This one is by far the most interesting and the most confident justification I've seen so far. Because I don't doubt this woman is an excellent nurse. She seems to know her technique. She doesn't violate HIPAA, which is a compliance body that makes sure you're following code. She does everything well because she shows it all on TikTok. And just because you're following the compliance rules doesn't mean you're also following your employer's rules. They both count, but neither one cancels the other out. Just because you're being compliant with HIPAA doesn't also prevent you from violating the employee rules about filming TikToks while working. And that's where the issue is. And I would imagine you're watching right now and you might be on one of two sides. One side sees her providing value as a veteran nurse, showing a day in the life and how to do the job of being a nurse. But on the other side, you might see, sure, she's showing value, but that is likely violating the policy of where she works, and that's what matters more. So put down in the comments, which do you believe she's doing, being valuable or crossing a boundary? None of this is about TikTok. It's not even about nurses, and I'm not even making it about social media. It really breaks down to assumptions. Assuming that just because something feels reasonable, that equals you have permission. Or assuming that because you believe you're providing value, that cancels out every single policy that is there at work. And when those assumptions are faced with reality, that clash can feel like it came out of nowhere, when the reality is it was completely predictable. And that's what I'm showcasing on my channel. I'm not here to throw judgment or create outrage. I'm just here to show you the patterns that lead to the outcomes that we've all seen before. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button and subscribe to stay up to date with everything that I upload. I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day.